I'm Vince Menzione, the CEO of Ultimate Partner and the host of the Ultimate Guide to Partnering podcast. We're on site today live at Google Cloud's Marketplace Exchange, interviewing partner leaders, driving success with Google's Marketplace, and how they're effectively utilizing the hyperscaler relationships and the role of the hyperscaler driving this new effective selling motion, working with hyperscalers, marketplaces, and effective co-selling, driving the change we are all seeing in this decade of the ecosystem. I hope you join us for these lively conversations. I'm Vince Menzione, the CEO of Ultimate Partner and the host of the Ultimate Guide to Partnering podcast. And I'm here at Google Cloud's Marketplace Exchange. And I have the great fortune of being here with MP Eisen, the VP of Partnerships at Glean. Welcome.
Yes, thank you very much for having me.
So excited to have you today. You just came off of stage. But for our viewers and listeners who don't know you and don't know Glean, I thought maybe a little bit of context around your offerings and your relationship with Google Cloud.
Yes, absolutely. Happy to give background there. So Glean is an enterprise work assistant. We connect to all your different data sources internally. So it's essentially like having ChatGPT and Google for your internal enterprise. If you wanted to ask them about anything happening at work, like the latest strategic initiatives or what's going on with this specific account. So this is the product that we've been building for the past 5 years, actually. And our founder was a distinguished engineer at Google in the early 2000s when they were building the original Google search. So he obviously is quite an authority on the space. And so that has been a lot of the inspiration for the product. We obviously, therefore, have really deep ties with Google. We've been built primarily on Google. We offer both a self-hosted option on the GCP tenant of the end customer, as well as our own offering in our own tenant to make it easier for customers who may not be direct customers of Google. And so anyways, the relationship has grown over the years. We're a very large marketplace partner. We drive both compute, hosting consumption, as well as LLM usage. So it's been a really fun partnership, especially in this kind of new wave of Gen AI.
Tell us a little bit more about that marketplace journey. So you probably had it from the very start, I would think.
Well, a lot of things move quickly in this space. So it was a long, long time ago, about a year and a half.
Yeah, exactly.
when we first got listed on
in a galaxy far away.
Honestly, it genuinely feels like that was another galaxy back then. So we were listed in the spring of 2023. I myself joined Glean last fall, so it was a little bit after we had been listed, and I think we had done 2 to 3 deals for, maybe 5 figures. Fast forward a year later, after we've invested in building out a team and really understanding the Google partnership and how to work well with the different sellers and the marketplace. And it's been a really fast ramp. And, we're really lucky to be able to work with a partner like Google, who just kind of gets that marketplace dynamic and the power of partnerships and how we all bring different strengths to the table. So it's been really fun.
That sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah. Now, you just came off of your panel discussion on stage. And you were on the AI panel discussion with some other distinguished partners.
Correct.
I just thought you could share some of the insights that you shared on stage with our viewers and listeners today.
So we had some really great questions on the panel, and it was both about marketplace, but also just Gen AI broadly. One of the questions I thought was kind of thought-provoking for all of us on stage was, in this age of AI, and everyone's coming out with competing products, and there's lots of talk about being able to do this or that, and so how do you differentiate yourself as a product in this space right now? We had several different opinions, but one takeaway that I have, at least from seeing over the past year all of our different customers and how they're engaging with these products and what they're asking for is, we're in this period right now where customers are really wanting to understand how to use the product, and they really want direction. We've got all this cool stuff, but no one's quite sure how to leverage it and take it beyond just individual productivity. So one of the points that we made on the stage was, the more directive that you can be and really showing what your use case is with the product and what that ROI is and how the customer will be able to achieve ROI using your product, those are going to be the winning companies who are able to actually translate the awesomeness of this technology into practical application and day-to-day ROI.
That's right. Yeah. I'm wondering, before Marketplace and some of this co-selling approach, would that decision been made further down the line of business, would you say?
I think it depends on, there's multiple ways that we see this happen with customers. I mean, the most impactful way is when it's a C-suite level conversation, because that's when the CIOs and the CEO are really bought in, saying, here's how we want to infuse AI into all your different operations, and that ends up being a very strategic implementation.
Yeah, AI is moving the conversation upstream.
And ultimately, that ends up being the end buyer. We do have some customers who might want to implement it in one specific function and then kind of roll it out piece by piece. So in that case, we might have some different executive sponsors or folks that will be working on with the implementation, but typically it ends up being a CIO level conversation, and having executives at Google on our side, that really helps in those conversations.
We've been saying that the CEO is now the new CIO, because these decisions are being made at the C-suite and the board level.
Absolutely.
And it's the CEO is really driving the charge and is accountable back to the board for the delivery of the results.
Absolutely.
So it's great to see that. That example is a wonderful example. As we get into 2025, everyone's in budget planning mode right now,
yes.
right? What would you say to our viewers and listeners planning for their success in 2025?
Okay.
And maybe some of them are not really where they need to be in terms of their marketplace strategy, working with a hyperscaler like Google Cloud. What would you say to them to do maybe better or differently as they need to lean into 2025?
Yeah, I think there are kind of two main pieces that I would say that have at least been really helpful to us, although certainly it's not just these two things. But first, you need to have just a solid value proposition for the Google AEs. So I mentioned that our product, not only does it help to drive compute engine in GCP, and the AEs at Google or the FSRs at Google are very excited to, be able to drive that consumption for their end customers. So that's one value prop for them. But they also get retirement from their quota based on the marketplace licenses. Obviously, that's pretty standard. But then also we drive Vertex AI consumption through Gemini as the LLM of choice when our customers choose Gemini as their LLM of choice. And so the more that you can kind of design your product with those aspects in mind and think of, how can I just organically, genuinely excite the Google reps? I don't say to contrive that and build your product in an inorganic and unnatural way, but the more that your product organically aligns with their incentives, the easier time you'll have. And then second, I would say, Google's a big company. There's a lot of different areas in the business that you can really go and dive in. So the more that you can be really focused by region, by industry, by segment, and by use case to really drill in and say, okay, I want to work with CPG in this region for this size of customer, whether it's greenfield or the spenders, that's a good place to start, and then you can replicate that success from there.
I love what you're saying, because you're speaking my language. On Ultimate Guide to Partnering, we talk about a couple of different things. We talk about being a shiny quarter in a bucket full of shiny quarters.
Okay,
how do you stand out? How does your story resonate with the seller?
Right.
And you've already described that. And the other thing is this flywheel. I always talk about the flywheel. And that building your success, don't try and be broad across everyone all at once, but pick your target areas where you could be the most successful. I think that's really great advice for our viewers and listeners today.
Good.
And then build your flywheel around that.
There you go.
I love it.
You know the message. You've obviously worked in this industry for some time.
A little bit
That's
of time, just a couple of years. MP, so great to have you on the podcast today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. And for our viewers and listeners, if they want to reach out and learn more about you and Glean, how would they do so?
Well, you can definitely go to our website, glean.com. So make sure to go to that one. There's a few different Gleans. As I mentioned, there's a lot of people in this space right now. So glean.com. And if you want to reach out to me directly on LinkedIn, I'm MP Eisen. I'm not the best at responding immediately, but if you send me a message, I will eventually get back to you. So please feel free to reach out and ask us more.
Thank you so much for following us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching and listening to this episode of The Ultimate Guide to Partnering, online at theultimatepartner.com, where you can find all of our amazing episodes. And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to this podcast on Apple, Spotify, and our new YouTube channel, The Ultimate Partner. Thank you for listening and supporting The Ultimate Guide to Partnering.